Today's broadcast is brought to you by Ham Radio Prep and World Radio League. If you're studying for your amateur radio license or just looking to upgrade, Ham Radio Prep offers you the easy-to-follow courses to help you succeed. And World Radio League is building the future of competitive amateur radio. Check them out and support the companies that support ham radio. Get a 10% discount when you use code HAMRADIOGUY. It costs you no extra money. And the best thing about Ham Radio Prep, it's money back guarantee to pass your course, whether you're upgrading or getting a new license. So with that, no further ado, let's get this podcast started. Hello and welcome to the Ham Radio Guy podcast. I'm Marvin and my call sign is W0MET. So from the, this is a podcast where we explore all things amateur radio, from gear, gadgets to on-the-air adventures and everything in between. From the first CQ to the last QSO of the day, there's always something new to learn in amateur radio, and that's why I'm here. This is a show where we bring you the tips, tricks, news, and stories that elevate your ham radio experience. Whether you're a seasoned operator, a weekend photo warrior, or just getting started in amateur radio. So thank you for joining, and welcome to this edition. This is edition number 67. This is my 2025 year-end special. With next week being Christmas, I may get one out right before the New Year's. I'm going to try. We'll see how it goes. But that is where we're at. And just want to say thank you for all the subscribers, first of all, that have been joining my YouTube channel and helped me get to that 500 mark before end of the year. And if we get there, I'll be doing a small prize giveaway to a one of the subscribers. And I'll literally go through it, create a file, pull one out, and maybe I'll do it on the next podcast here. This is being recorded as well, so this will be uploaded, and you'll see the video of this. And if you're watching this on YouTube today, you'll be able to see my Christmas themed background for this year, which is kind of cool. I think that's kind of a neat little background I had there beside the fireplace and the Christmas tree. Very, very traditional. So. It's a good thing to be doing on this afternoon. I actually got my Christmas lights up today around my garage door, and it was exactly 15 feet for each strand, and it fit perfectly across the top of the garage door and down 7 feet on each side, right to the brick wall on the bottom half. So I was very impressed with that and very happy that turned out to be just the right length to go across there. And still looks good. It didn't go all the way down, but that's fine because, again, I got that brick wall there, so it kind of created a halfway mark to go. But kind of get into that Christmas theme. You might even hear in the background a little Christmas music, Trans-Siberian in the background playing on the TV through Apple Music. But anyway, I think that's, again, kind of getting in that mode for Christmas and kind of wrapping up the year and putting things together. And, this podcast will be out, and hopefully you'll catch it before December 18th. This is the December 17th currently, but I'll be on Hamshack TV. Josh with Hamshack TV, A4WX, will be giving away an Icom 7300. And so if you are able to catch this podcast tonight or tomorrow before that goes air at 8 o'clock Eastern or 7 o'clock Central, you will be able to hopefully get on that and have an opportunity to win an Icom 7300. So he's joined 10,000 subscribers now at that point. So very proud of him. I'm very happy to be a part of his show as well each and every week. So if you haven't joined over there yet, please go do so. It's a great show. We have a lot of fun. Sometimes we say we go clubhouse on certain things, but that's another thing that I'm involved with here. And I think my next episode, just thinking about it, probably I think we'll be talking about Winter Field Day. So obviously that's coming around. We are just a month away from that. That's almost scary to think about, that we are coming right around the corner to the 24th and 25th of December. And then, a month from then will be the 24th and 25th of January. So we are just literally around the corner from this. So that will be happening sooner than we expect, and getting prepared for all that. Oh my gosh, I got to think about that myself. So I don't know if I'll be able to use my trailer this year. It's kind of being used as a storage facility. So I may just have to set up my garage or something, or outside under the awning out in the cold a little bit and do something there. I don't know. I'll figure out, just put the antennas outside and kind of work indoors maybe, but I won't be home, but I'll be working off, an indoor setup, at least kind of where it's a little bit warmer. Unless I set my clamshell up. I could set I got a kind of an igloo winter. Well, you know what? I don't think it's very wintry. I think it's more of a summer tent. I was thinking it's more of a clamshell, but I think I turned that one in and got the more of the summer version for keeping mosquitoes and stuff away from me when I was using the summer one in Tennessee. I could set during the winter and put the sides on and keep the wind out. It worked out pretty good. But now we're up here in Wisconsin, so back in the Midwest, and I think we'll have to figure out what we're going to do for the cold. Last year, I was able to work inside the trailer, and then I worked a little bit mobile. And maybe we'll go work at a park and do mobile both. Well, maybe we'll get a 2-for-1 out of that. There's Tiffany Bottoms not far away from me. I could certainly go set up in the truck and go mobile. Maybe I'll do that. We'll see how long that goes. So anyway, moving on there for Winter Field Day, but just be thinking about that. If you haven't thought about Winter Field Day yet or joined that, go out to our website. We have a store out there which supports us directly. I don't get paid. It's completely volunteer. But it helps support the cause and keep our lights per se on. And then the other thing is, we have register your location. You can find out all the rules and regulations for the year, things that changed. So go check out winterfieldday.com and see what you can find there for joining up this year on that. Well, if you're a fellow ham radio enthusiast like I am, and hopefully you're loving the Ham Radio Guy podcast and YouTube channel, if you want to support the podcast while getting awesome perks in return, then it's time to join the Ham Radio Guy community over on Patreon. With every membership level, you can start small or go all in. And here's what you'll be waiting for. At the tech level, you get early access to episodes, behind the scene updates, perfect for staying ahead of the curve, just $2 a month. And I think you can probably get that for cheaper than a cup of coffee, even at the gas station. At the general level, you can unlock exclusive bonus content, member-only question and answer sessions, and even shout-outs on the show. And I do want to give a shout-out to Kelly. I don't remember her call sign right offhand, but she just joined at the general level for $3 a month. And so I appreciate her picking up on that and becoming a part of my Patreon channel. So Kelly, there's your shout out for the show. So hopefully you'll enjoy that. And for the extra class level, the ultimate tier, you get all that plus personalized one-on-one sneak peeks, upcoming projects, and some surprise goodies delivered right to your door. So I probably need to do that, but I only got 2 people at that level. I think I have to double check and see if I got someone else I need to do that with. But anyway, there you go. So there's the different levels for my Patreon. And again, help support the podcast. And, even just going out to Ham Radio Prep or World Radio League and joining over there, I get a little bit of a kickback for that. And so, every, $2 or $3 here and there, it's not, I'm not going to get rich off of it by any means, but it does help. And again, continue to upgrade. I've got this better equipment, the podcaster, the Roadcaster and everything like that. So it makes a difference. So I do appreciate it. And, I've got subscriptions to podcast and, Apple and Spotify or all those kind of charge me a little bit of money to keep this up and running. So it just helps kind of pay for that throughout the year. And so, new year, maybe it's a new time to join and, again, help support the podcast, keep it on the air and, fuels the passion that drives our amazing ham radio community here. So let's build this community together. And again, one contact at a time and we'll see where it goes. I'm not going to do any news this week because this whole podcast is going to be about news and kind of what's going on with 2025. And we'll maybe even dive in to see what the future of 2026 may look like. What are we going to, speculate on and where is it going to be? So, and I'm not doing a ham radio joke either. So we're going to pass on those things because I have so much content from this year. I am just blown away at everything I started finding. You dig into this like, oh my gosh. And I guess I'm going to have to keep track a little bit better because it took me a couple hours to go through all this and find everything that I found. It's just like unbelievable. So anyway, I guess we're just going to get right into it and let's see where we can go here. All right. So as we close out 2025, This episode serves as our year-end review of the major developments in amateur radio, including equipment releases, regulatory and FCC updates, which there was a lot this year, organizational milestones, and we'll take time to honor several respected silent keys who left a lasting impact on our community, and there was a lot of those. I had one person I reached out to, and it's like, oh my gosh, there's more, and there's more. And it's like, oh yeah, there's that too. I was like, man, I didn't realize there were so many. So, and of course, I'm only capturing ones that maybe major left a major impact that you're very aware of. But there was obviously a lot of silent keys that passed, and we certainly want to respect all of them across the board that it was able to pass in this year. First, we're going to start off with, I think 2025 was really a year of innovation, advocacy, a good reflection for amateur radio across the board. And today we're going to, walk through the stories that help kind of shape where we are today for year end. And they are in no particular order. I didn't do this from January through December. It is just, I kind of did it by different sections. So again, we're going to talk about equipment and silent keys and FCC and regulatory changes. And if I list something within those categories, again, it may or may not be in a particular order. So it's just as I maybe came across it or as I remembered it of something happening, we were able to write it down and put it in here. So just be aware of that. And so that's where we're going with this. So anyway, let's see. Let's start off with major equipment and technology highlights of 2025 first. The Yaesu FTX1 field and Optima unit. This was probably one of the most talked about radios of product announcements of the year that came from Yaesu with Hamvention 2025 with the introduction of the FTX1 platform. And, obviously the FTX1 field was a portable QRP radio, 10 watts. And then the FTX1 Optima was a 100-watt amplifier base that kind of attached it to it. Yaesu came out, had a few flaws along the way. In the very beginning, they were able to do some patching, some software updates. They fixed some of those things along the way. And, they kind of put it back together a little bit. And then they came out and said, oh yeah, we can go mobile with this. And they, now they're giving, some power cables that you can use in a mobile setup. And ABR Industries has those mobile cables too at probably a similar or competitive price if you need those. So you can save money on that order by using code W0MET10. Just FY, a shameless plug for a little bit of capitalism there. And so, with the FTX1 field and Optima unit, whether, you get Optimus kind of just the base 100-watt amplifier base added to the field face unit. But covered HF 6 meters, 2 meters, 70 centimeters, supporting all major modes. And, it maybe supported, good portability. It was a premium price point. It was fair, I think, though. And again, we had some early feedback with some performance issues, but overall, the rugged construction, flexibility for both field and shack use, which is nice. But I think they missed the target on not putting a GPS in it. And I don't like that they're nickel and diming you for every component. Additional component like a fan and an extra battery and a case are wrapped around it and things like that. So, but that was the FTX1F, or FTX1 field unit Optima unit. The FlexRadio came out with the Aurora series and adaptive pre-distortion. They came out with the SDR version 4.0 in, call it like November 1st. FlexRadio pushed the envelope in SDR technology with the introduction of the Aurora series, 500 watts on a FlexRadio keyed down for hours on end, and it just did not heat up or overheat at all. Very efficient, high efficient, 500 watt radio plus 6 meters using their SDR platform. Sales were okay, I think, with that, but maybe not great because they did have a high price point. I think it started right around $6,200 and went up to like $9,500 for, basically something equivalent to the 8600 Maestro. If you wanted the Maestro version with it, it was like $9,500, not cheap at all. Especially if you wanted the two SCUs, So that puts you into the 7-8 grand, part of it real easy, real quick. They did do adaptive pre-distortion with the Flex 8000 series. And so that improves the signal linearity and efficiency. And I'm going to stand by just one. So I hope that's back working again here. All right, there we go. I've got a little bit of ammonia I'm getting over, and I had to cough. I didn't want that to be on the air. So, and I think I muted myself in the meantime, and I couldn't get it back off mute. I hit some other button I probably shouldn't have hit. But I think we're back working now, and everything's looking good on the mixer and all that and the screen. So we got video. Yep, audio on the other track is going good too. So we're good. So, all right. So that was that. Again, software version 4, several subscriber packages. They had an SDR plus package you could buy, and then, or just the SDR, and you could get the early release version and get all the features, right here now, or you can wait 30 days on the SDR plus. And it was like $150, maybe $199 for that, depending whether you got it on sale or not right in the beginning. So very interesting what they're doing. Again, software you're having to pay for each year. Not sure I'm happy about that, but I understand you got to pay for engineers and, that sort of thing along the way as well. So, how many other things we do, with that, with like Microsoft or other subscriptions. Like I do a Canva subscription. I pay for it once a year, and I just know that's going to be an annual cost for me. So it is what it is. Now, the next two are kind of interesting. They actually kind of maybe got a late release in 2024, but they really kind of made a headlines in 2025. And that was the Icom 7760. It was kind of a major topic throughout 2025. It's the Icom's new flagship kind of SDR HF transceiver model. And, it has the SDR architecture about it with a control head flexibility, continue Icom's trend towards high-end modular designs. It remained a frequent point of comparison and discussion throughout the year as well. So, very good radio across the board. I think it's around the $7,000 mark as well. So, again, it kind of released late in 2024. And then the other one was the Kenwood D75. It was kind of released late in 2024, but it was one of the most talked about high-end HTs, handhelds of the year. And so I know a lot of people use them. A lot of people like them. It's got the tri-band operation, a full Bluetooth support, APRS capability, things like that. So I think it really set a benchmark for transceivers for HTs in 2025. And nothing else out there I know matches it. And the battery life is okay, I think, on it, but maybe not great. The other thing was that you have the other Kenwood coming out. I cannot remember the model right offhand, but it'd be equivalent. It's a mobile version, and it's been sitting out there kind of a teaser for the year, and obviously it will be released sometime in 2026. Kenwood's not ready to go live with it yet. I would probably guess Dayton, but we can move that into the speculation side of 2026 here, and we get down to that. But that's just something that's been out there in the market for a little while that we've all seen behind, under glass, and we've not actually seen it live yet, but hopefully it will come around soon. We're going to go into a couple industry and service changes throughout the year for my next section. And so let's look at this as being, some companies and things that happen within amateur radio. And in late August of 2025, SteppIR announced it would discontinue the production of the consumer amateur radio antennas. And I think they just went strictly government. And so that really marked an era of a very high-end, high-performance, motor-driven antenna system. And, again, they continued their military operations. Amateur radio kind of felt a big impact of losing the long-standing, innovator of SteppIR antennas. I would have looked at considering getting one potentially down the road here because I thought they were really cool antennas, and people say they've lasted for like 20 years. They're great antennas. So I was doing that, and then it's like, nope, I guess not when they are no longer in business for amateur radio. I've seen a couple used ones out there, but again, I don't know about support, so I'm a little worried about that. And I said the same thing with MFG. I'm not buying anything MFJ when they went out of business in 2024. I think it was 2024. And I just don't want, having to get parts and warranties and all that taken care of. I'm not going to do it. In August also of this year, on the 29th of August, Hamshack Hotline officially ceased operations. After years of growth and volunteer-run IP service, determined the scale of the network had become unsustainable. They had volunteers out there, you're setting up your phones and get them up online. But while the shutdown met with disappointment, alternatives such as hams over IP and amateur wire remained available for operators seeking voice over IP connectivity with their phones. And it was a very easy conversion from Hamshack Hotline over to hams over IP. They did play well together. And so, that legacy remained significant to us, having introduced thousands of hams to IP phones and having one in the Hamshack. So kind of a big loss there for the amateur radio community. Another one kind of changed over, was more of I think it's still out there, but in June, WIMO took over OptiBeam's entire portfolio. OptiBeam was a German antenna company. And so, their goal now was to expand their product range and increase their responsibility of leading a globally respected brand into the future for amateur radio operators. That comes from their site. So that was June 1st. And, for those who have OptiBeam antennas, it looked like they're very high-end, very good antennas overall. So that was kind of interesting to see that one go. The other big one, and this was, I almost got murdered for this one, considering that my brother W4OPS started this up, and I didn't even think about it initially until he mentioned it to me. He goes, well, what about NARA? The National Amateur Radio Alliance started up in March of 2025. It's a new national organization representing amateur radio operators, stepped up on the stage with many initiatives right off the bat, including Club Week, Young Keyr's Award, etc., focused on becoming a resource for ham radio operators with specialties in resource, engagement, outreach, and advocacy. So, he said, what? You don't remember that one? He's like, how can you not know that? So, anyway, that was kind of a big one that I almost missed because they have done well, and I think they're over 300 members now. I don't honestly know right off band. I haven't asked them in quite a while what that question or what that number is, but they've really made a nonprofit organization out of it, and they continue to grow. And they've got 5-year memberships out there, so people supporting it. And they've been at a couple ham fests now, and they are definitely putting their foot out there in front. So they have made comments on things like some of the FCC regulatory updates that we're going to talk about in just a moment here. So if you haven't looked at National Amateur Radio Alliance, I actually became a member of it as well for like $32 a year. It's pretty cheap. I mean, it's half the price of the ARRL, and I think I'm probably getting the same benefit out of it. So, I'm not going to go into that whole rant, but we'll just see where it goes. I wish him the best and hope that continues to grow and go well as well. So, Section 3, regulatory and FCC updates. I'm telling you, this might, I had a lot of news, a lot of information happened in 2025 here. In December 25, obviously just a few days ago, actually, the FCC adopted a report and order expanding the amateur radio access to the 60-meter band. The new allocation provides a non-channelized 15 kilohertz section allocation from 5351.5 to 5366.5, in addition to the existing 4 channels. This channel aligns with the U.S. more closely in international allocations and represents a meaningful win for the HF operators. So that new section is not actually in place yet. We're waiting for the regulatory approval for that. And then there's 30 days after notification that will be active. And that new section, which encompasses part of channel 3 on the 60-meter band, is only limited to 9.15 watts. So it'll be a great place for QRP for them to go play down there and see what that looks like. The other one, I know a lot of people pushed it, and I don't know really what ever happened to it. Seems like it kind of fell off the bandwagon when the government shut down in October. But throughout 2025, there was a lot of renewed efforts focused on antenna rights, and which really began in February with the Amateur Radio Emergency Preparedness Act. It was reintroduced in both the House and the Senate. And in September, the ARRU launched a grassroots advocacy campaign urging amateur radio lawmakers to be engaged and to, reach out to them and let them know that they are, they have a voice. And so, this was really about HOA restricted communities and citing amateur radio's critical role during disasters when other communications fail. That people who live in HOAs could participate and be a part of. So, again, that just kind of fell off the bandwagon. I don't know what happened to that, where it went, but kind of interesting in some ways. So we'll see where that one goes. I have this one out of place for some reason, but the Signals Museum in Huntsville, Alabama, it looks like it's a new museum that opened up, nestled in Huntsville, Alabama, that celebrated the dynamic world of communication and information technology. It opened up in March. I think that should have been up above the other section, and somehow got put into, when I was scrolling, I must have copied and pasted the wrong section. But anyway, there it was. You got the Signals Museum in Huntsville, Alabama. So you go to Huntsville Hamfest next year, go check out the Signals Museum at the same time. In May 22nd of this year, the U.S. House passed a massive reconciliation bill affecting spectrum policy. I don't really have a lot of information on that, but that was kind of a big spectrum reallocation that happened. And here we go. Some of the key points on that was at least 600 megahertz between 1.3 and 10 gigahertz must be identified for commercial broadband. Portions are slated for auction by mid-2028 and mid-2031. And exclusive inclusion, preserving the temporary 3.3 gigahertz amateur radio allocation and the 5.925 to 7.125 gigahertz. So there was some information on that. Said some exclusions offered some relief, but the bill reinforced ongoing pressure on amateur radio spectrum allocation. So, and of course, the big one we all familiar with in October, the FCC operational shutdown, and that suspended all operations for approximately 40 days, temporarily halting amateur radio licensing processes, approvals, and renewals. And this disruption affected, again, new licensees big time. They were like, let's get this government back open. I got my license. I've tested. I want to go. Anybody who did upgrades, vanity call signs, renewals. So I think renewals got a little bit of a grant extension on that, but don't quote me on that one for sure. But I think did have a little bit of a leeway there. So if you need to renew your license during that time. So the final one on this one, as part of a broader effort, the FCC Part 97 cleanup, they removed nearly 400 obsolete wireless rules. The FCC announced plans to delete or modify 4 minor Part 97 provisions, modernizing and streamlining amateur radio regulations. So there was quite a bit in that section. I remember that there was a lot of things that kind of just did a lot of cleanup of language, mostly is what it was. So, but there's some big regulations that happened for this year. So kind of an active year, definitely with the FCC and policy updates. Section 4 now we're going into public service and milestones. The Hurricane WatchNet turned 60. Founded in 1965, the Hurricane Net Watch celebrated its 60th anniversary in 2025. And of course, the Hurricane WatchNet, if you're not familiar with it, continues to provide real-time service observations to the National Hurricane Center and is actively seeking new net control operators to ensure its mission continues into the future. ARIS did a lot with the SSTV for the International Space Station. They marked 2 major milestones with a special slow scan television event. From November 12th to the 20th, ISS transmitted 12 commemorative SSTV images celebrating the recent Jamboree on the Air, which was in October, and the 25th anniversary of ARIS operations. So that was kind of cool. That was a very neat thing to have happen. And before I go on to the next one here, I'm just trying to keep my throat moist up a little bit. World Amateur Radio Day celebrated 100 years of the IARU, International Amateur Radio Union. And that was founded in Paris in April 17th, 1925. And the ARRL played a key role in its formation, with founder Hiram Percy Maxim, W1AW, serving as the first IARU president, a century-long legacy of international cooperation. This caused a lot of stir over the year, which was kind of interesting. Logbook of the World was out, a brief outage in late June, and they took it down, and they returned to service on July 2nd, 2025 with upgraded back-end infrastructure. And so while the user interface remained unchanged, performance and reliability improvements ensured Logbook of the World continued to serve as a cornerstone of modern amateur radio word tracking. But they went down kind of over that right after Field Day and right before July 4th weekend, and that caused quite a bit of stir. A lot of people were kind of upset about that. And it's like, what a fine weekend to do that with. But, supposedly if it has a better back end and it's stronger, then, I guess maybe we're all better off for it. But, I suppose there's never a good time to take it down. And people are probably going to bitch one way or the other. So I guess you just deal with it. All right. Man, we're moving right along here. Section 5, silent keys. There is a lot of these here. And again, we want to honor those that we lost here in 2025. I'd say, amateur radio lost several giants whose contributions this year will not be forgotten. I was surprised at some of these, and I've heard a couple of them over the year, but the other person I spoke to on some of these, if I knew anybody else I was missing, and I just didn't remember it at all, but it was quite interesting. So let's look at these. I thought I hit a stupid button. Oh man, I'm sorry. Again, that cold's kind of killing me. Lou Dietrich, N2TU. He's a big DXer, former Indexa chairman, passed away at age 78. I think he worked for Yaesu for a while, and then he worked for FlexRadio. So he was a big contributor there. You saw him at a lot of ham shows over the years. So definitely going to miss Lou. Frank Butler, W4RH, a former ARRL Southeastern Division Director, became a silent key at the age of 100 after 8 decades of ARRL membership. So, wow, that's crazy. Age 100 and 8 decades of ARRL membership. So, Frank Butler. George Dick Isley, W9 GIG, former ARRL Central Division Director and ARRL Honorary Vice President, passed away at age 86. So good for him, and we honor him as well. Gerald Jerry Murphy, K8YUW, founder of the Hurricane WatchNet, passed away at age 88 this year. I don't know when exactly, but, founder of the Hurricane WatchNet. Again, kind of a major contributor to amateur radio over the years. So that's a very cool thing. Again, they're celebrating their 60th. So age 88, so he founded that probably about, 28 years old, roughly, if I'm doing my quick math, and which I shouldn't do on the air, but that's what we're going to look at. Quicksilver Radio, John Bartshear, N1GV, passed away in October. Many of us have seen John over at Quicksilver Radio in the bright yellow shirts. If you don't remember who that is, go to the bright yellow shirts at Quicksilver Radio. All the Hamfest, big and small. He would show up, travel the country. He's had a lot of medical issues the last couple of years. You probably saw him with a breathing mask on or around an oxygen tank. And so that would be John. So he passed on, but hopefully Quicksilver Radio will continue his path of carrying parts and being at feature ham shows. I'm not sure how that's carrying on, but hopefully that will continue to be strong throughout as well. We hate to lose another company because he is, passed on. Alan Waller, K3TKJ, founder of QSL and QTH.net. So, again, a big contributor to amateur radio. Ken Vallone, KU2US. So you guys may recognize that person, the founder of 13 Colonies. So very interesting there. Passed away, I think, in right around July, I think, if I remember correct. So, very good for him. And then the other big one of the year that I'm going to have, my last one here, Ted Randall, WB8PUM, host of the QSO Today radio show, longtime scene at Mini Hamfest, and setting up the podcast. He passed away in May, and he was not at, I think they were at Dayton this year, but they may have not have been. I can't remember for sure. So if you remember, post in the comments if the QSO radio show today made Dayton or not, even after his passing. But hopefully, they'll continue to be back like some of the other ones here in 2026. So I didn't get to Huntsville, so I don't know if they were there or not, but I know they used to be there in the past. So we honor their service, leadership, and dedication to amateur radio, and we certainly appreciate them. Well, I've got something special for you too. I haven't mentioned yet, and I kind of want to play this, and it's probably about 2 or 3 minutes long, and it's a song by, I'm going to go pull it up because I do not remember his full call sign, F4HTZ, and I've gotten permission to be able to play this and use this. It is the English version of a song called Amateur Radio Operator. And there's a French version as well, but obviously I do not understand that one. And so we took the English version and went with that. But I think you're going to find this very interesting. And I'm going to let this play for a little bit before we go out to closing and some other, final remarks and things. But anyway, here we go. Amateur Radio Operator.
In the dark night, the antennas
play
a ballet of waves. How lucky.
Well, I'm sorry that did not start right off the bat.
In the hollow of silence, the stars fly by, following the frequencies. In the ether, deep voices hover, voices from elsewhere that growl and rumble. Each CQ a call at random, words that travel in the dark. Amateur radio operator, vagabond of the world. On Liberty Radioscope, illustrate, I wonder. Amateur radio operator, listening to the waves. The speaker murmurs and my voice replies. Through the ages and time zones, souls entwine under the signals. A beat, a fragile code, Morse in rhythm, subtle tones. Alaska speaks to me, Africa sighs. The waves weave memories, and in my station, a quiet temple, I hunt the infinite, dream in encrypted form. Amateur radio operator, vagabond of the world. On Liberty Radioscope, illustrate, I wonder. Amateur radio operator, listening to the waves. The speaker murmurs and my voice replies. The nights are long, but time is suspended. Each contact is an unexpected dream. My notebook scribbled with codes and addresses, memories of waves, promises. And when the day of the silent key comes, only the echo will remain. Fragments of the past in my heart, this ballet of lightning will stay. Distant voices carried by the universe. Amateur radio operator, vagabond of the world. On Le Petit Radioscope, illustrate, I wonder. Amateur radio operator, listening to the waves. The speaker murmurs and my voice replies. CQ, here is the earth, always in search of somewhere else.
Well, sorry you missed the very, very beginning of that, but I had the darn thing on mute. Apparently, I didn't realize that. I guess when I said I hit a button earlier, now I know what button I hit. So anyway, very interesting song. I thought it was kind of cool. Something you may have not heard before. And, I like it how he says, Africa size. So it's kind of funny. But I thought it was a cute song and wanted to play it for you. And again, you may have not heard that before, but I came across that one day and I reached out to him and asked if I could play that as part of the podcast. And I do have another thing I want to play as a little bit of a thing, if I can find it here real quick. Something I'm kind of considering for a new theme for a little bit of 2026. And if I can find it real quick here on my desktop. Give me 1 minute here. I thought it was right here and handy, but now, of course, while I'm looking for it, and when you want it, you don't find it. Oh, here we go. Here is the other version I'm kind of looking at for maybe a new podcast intro. We'll see what your guys' response on this. This is a little bit of a teaser. Let's go with this one. If I can get to play. From the heartland of America, where the airwaves are alive and the freedom still reigns, this is the Ham Radio Guy, connecting faith, family, and frequency. Proudly transmitting from the Midwest, the voice of the American ham. I'm curious what your thoughts are on that. So I put that together and did a lot of work on that to get that out there. So I'm kind of curious what your guys' feedback on that is. I would love to be able to know if that's something I should kind of go with that type of theme or not. Again, it's just kind of a teaser, beginning intro. I've got a little bit more to go with that, but I wanted to put it out there for comments, and I'm excited to see if you guys hear that and see what your thought is. So as we close out to look ahead at 2026 here, closing out 2025, again, we talk about radio speculation. The Icom mobile the Kenwood mobile should be coming out. What other, I'd love to hear in the comments. I'd love to be able to hear, some shout outs and things that say, hey, I think Icom's going to come out with a new radio. Yaesu's coming out with maybe this type of radio. I'd love to be able to see this type of radio come out in 2026. What businesses are going to close? What changes are we going to see in 2026? I mean, we went out through a whole lot of stuff in the last half hour here, 42 minutes. And I was really shocked at how much I found. So I think I love doing this. This was a lot of fun. It was good research, but it was very difficult as well to try and go back and go, man, what happened in January, February, March? I'd sit there and just think and then just trying to come up with things. And it's like, I'd have to go do online research. And of course, sometimes you find stuff, sometimes you don't. And going back through different news articles, This Week in Amateur Radio Newsline, ARRL News. I mean, I had to go digging for a while. So it took me a while to come up with something. And guys, I have no doubt that I probably left something out and no intention by any means. So if there's something big that happened and I missed it, I'm sorry. But I think, I know like Hamvention, that was had record attendance this year in Dayton. That was probably a big story out there as well that maybe I didn't include right off the bat with some other things. But, anything technological, there we go. I'll get it right in a minute. Political, anything culturally, what challenges, what maybe new mode we're going to see, what new innovations are we going to see in 2026. That's the strength of this community of amateur radio that we build on each and every year. Somebody's coming up with new stuff, new logging programs. You never know what we're going to come up with next. I'm very big spirited in Mac amateur radio and anything I can do on the Mac, on the computer, on the iPad. And so I know World Radio League has new innovations coming out and new features and elements and that what they're doing. And so I'm very excited to see what they're going to come up with for future stuff. And I think I'm going to still leave it on a high note, but really thank you for listening, for advocating, keeping the spirit of amateur radio alive, being responsible, and calling out those that are, put a bad shed of light on amateur radio. I really want to, we call them sad hams, but I really want to think that for the most part, we all do very good. A lot of great work out there being done for, like the Boston Marathon and the Christmas parades and, other marathons and stuff that happen where amateur radio operators are being used, critical events, emergencies, disasters, amateur radio operators are still being used across the world each and every day. My goal and a little bit for 2026 is to be able to do some more contesting. I kind of got into the 10-meter contest this past week, and I made like 13,000 points with 146 contacts. I couldn't do Saturday afternoon. I had to go to a doctor appointment, again, dealing with a little bit of pneumonia here. And then Sunday I had a class I had to go to. So it was one of those things I couldn't participate on Sunday either. So I probably could have done better, but it's just the life in general. It gets in the way sometimes, and it is what it is. But, I had fun on that 10-meter contest. It was very good for year end. It was a good, positive way to end my year. I think this has been a great year for me overall. And I really just want to say thank you from me here at the Ham Radio Guy podcast. My heart goes out to all of you guys. I really appreciate it. Appreciate the support. Thank you for being a listener. Thank you for being a watcher on YouTube. Maybe you're both. And just thank you for being there. And hopefully I'll get to 500 before the end of the year. I'd love to give some things away. And, I may come back with a Winter Field Day podcast before the end of the year. If not, I'm going to say 73. And we'll see you in the new year. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.